The coffee mug shattered against the kitchen tile like a gunshot in the quiet morning haze of our family's old craftsman house in suburban Seattle. Rain pattered against the window panes, a relentless Seattle drizzle that matched the storm brewing inside Jake. "You think you can just waltz in here and act like nothing happened?" His voice cracked, low and gravelly, the kind that usually sent shivers down my spine for all the right reasons. But today, it sliced through me like the chill seeping under the door from the garage. I froze, steam rising from my untouched black coffee, the bitter scent mixing with the faint ozone of last night's storm. Jake's jaw clenched, his broad shoulders tense under that faded mariner's hoodie he wore like armor. At 27, he was all sharp edges, high school history teacher by day, the guy who fixed leaky faucets and grilled burgers like it was his religion. American through and through, born in the same rainy town as me, but we'd only become family 5 years ago when our parents tied the knot in a courthouse ceremony that smelled of cheap champagne and forced smiles. Alex, 25, graphic designer scraping by on freelance gigs from my laptop in the corner of the living room. Slender build, messy brown hair that never quite stayed put, and eyes that Mom always said held too many secrets. Secrets like the ones I'd buried deep since that summer after high school, when Jake and I first crossed that line we pretended didn't exist. A stolen kiss in the backyard under the weeping willow, his calloused hands rough against my skin, tasting like cheap beer and possibility. We'd chalked it up to teenage stupidity, but it lingered, electric and unspoken, every family dinner a minefield. Today, though, the fuse had lit. I'd come home late last night from a bar in Capitol Hill, the gay heart of Seattle, reeking of gin and regret. Not because I'd hooked up, God. No, but because I'd run into Tyler, my ex from college. All easy laughs and lingering touches that made Jake's texts go unread. Jake had seen the Instagram story, the one where Tyler's arms slung casual over my shoulder. And now, here we were, him towering over the sink, fists balled, while Mom and Dad slept upstairs, oblivious to the fault line cracking under their blended family. "You're jealous," I whispered, the words tasting like ash. My heart hammered, a dull thud echoing the drip of the faucet. Bitter and short, like a bark in the fog. "Jealous? Of that pretty boy who couldn't handle you? Screw that. Alex. It's about trust. You sneak off, post your little thirst traps, and expect me to just wait like some side piece." Those storm blue eyes I'd drowned in 100 times, flashed with hurt masked as fury. The air thickened, heavy with the ghosts of what we never said aloud. Stepbrothers. Forbidden. In the eyes of the Bible-thumping neighbors who'd whisper if they knew. But right in the way his breath hitched when I brushed past him in the hallway, or how he'd linger too long fixing my tie before job interviews. I stepped closer, the cool tile biting through my socks, close enough to smell the sandalwood soap on his skin, mixed with the faint sweat of his morning run. "It's not like that. Tyler's nothing. My voice broke, a sigh escaping like steam from a cracked pipe. Turned away, shoulders slumping, the fight draining out as quick as it flared. "Just forget it," he muttered, grabbing his keys from the counter. The door slammed behind him, rattling the cabinets, leaving me alone with the shards of ceramic and the echo of rain. The day dragged like a bad hangover. I holed up in the living room, laptop open to half-finished logos for some tech startup, but my fingers hovered useless over the keys. The house creaked under the weight of normalcy, Mom humming in the kitchen, baking her apple pie that filled the air with cinnamon and false comfort, Dad yelling at the Seahawks game on TV, his recliner squeaking with every curse. But Jake's absence gnawed at me, a hollow ache in my chest. By noon, he stormed back from school, backpack slung over one shoulder, tie loosened like a noose half untied. He didn't look at me, just grunted hellos and vanished into the garage, the clang of tools on concrete punctuating the afternoon like accusations. I imagined him out there, wrench in hand, rebuilding some old engine to fix what couldn't be mended between us. Sweat beading on his forehead, muscles flexing under his shirt, the way his veins stood out when he was angry. It twisted me up. The pull, equal parts desire and dread. Lunch was torture. We sat at the oak table Dad built himself, passing the mashed potatoes in silence while Mom chattered about PTA drama. Jake's knee brushed mine under the table, accidental? Maybe. But it sent a jolt up my thigh. Hot and insistent. He pulled away like I'd burned him, fork scraping his plate too loud. Pass the salt, he said, voice flat, eyes on his food. Our fingers touched, brief as a spark, and I swear I heard his breath catch, a soft hitch swallowed by the clink of silverware. Afternoon bled into evening, the rain easing to a misty haze that blurred the evergreens outside. I tried sketching, lines bleeding into abstract swirls of blue and gray, mirroring the bruise blooming in my gut. Why did it always come to this? The push-pull of wanting him so bad it hurt, knowing one wrong move could shatter everything. Our parents' marriage was the glue, we were the crack in the porcelain. But late at night, when the house slept, it was just us, tangled sheets, whispered confessions, his lips mapping the map of my regrets. Dinner was worse. Barbecue chicken from the grill, smoke curling lazy into the twilight, the sizzle and pop masking the tension coiling tighter. Jake sat across from me, beer in hand, laughing at Dad's jokes with that forced baritone rumble that didn't reach his eyes. But every glance my way lingered a beat too long, loaded with questions he wouldn't voice. Good game last night? Mom asked me, oblivious, her fork pausing midair. I nodded, mumbling about the Mariners' comeback. But my skin prickled under Jake's stare, like he could see the flush creeping up my neck. Night fell heavy, the kind of Pacific Northwest dark that presses in, broken only by the glow of street lamps filtering through my blinds. I lay in bed, sheets twisted around my legs, the cotton cool against fevered skin. Clock ticked past midnight, each second a hammer on my nerves. The fight replayed in loops, the shatter, the slam, the unspoken, I love you, lodged in my throat like glass. Then, the floorboards creaked. So, deliberate, like a secret unfolding. My door eased open, a sliver of hallway light spilling across the threshold. Jake stood there, silhouette broad and hesitant, wearing nothing but gray sweatpants slung low on his hips, the waistband dipping just enough to tease the V of muscle leading down. His hair was damp from a shower, chest bare and rising uneven, nipples peaked in the chill. Jake. My voice was a rasp, barely above the hum of the fridge downstairs. He didn't speak, just crossed the room in 3 strides, the air shifting with his warmth. The mattress dipped as he slid under the covers, body aligning with mine like puzzle pieces slotting home. His arm draped heavy over my waist, pulling me back against his chest, skin to skin, heartbeats syncing in frantic tandem. I felt the rough scrape of his stubble on my shoulder, the steady rise and fall of his breaths, warm against my neck. I'm sorry, he murmured finally, voice muffled in my hair, a tremor threading through like vulnerability cracking stone. His hands splayed flat on my stomach, fingers tracing lazy circles that ignited sparks low and insistent. Seeing you with him, it gutted me, Alex. Not because I'm jealous of some asshole. Because I can't stand the thought of losing this. I turned in his arms, faces inches apart, his blue eyes searching mine in the dim glow from the alarm clock, raw, unguarded, the anger stripped away to reveal the fear beneath. The room smelled of him, clean soap and salt, undercut by the faint musk of desire thickening the air. My hand cupped his jaw, thumb brushing the pulse jumping at his throat. "You won't," I whispered, the words a vow against the silence. "You're it for me. Always have been." His sigh was a release, deep and shuddering, vibrating through me as his lips found mine, slow at first, tentative, tasting of mint and midnight confessions. Then deeper, hungrier, tongues tangling in a rhythm we'd perfected in stolen moments. Hands roamed, mapping familiar terrain, the dip of his spine, the curve of my hip, nails grazing just enough to draw gasps. He pressed closer, thighs slotting between mine, friction building like a storm front, breaths mingling in hot, ragged bursts. We moved together, unhurried but urgent, the bed creaking soft protests under us. His mouth trailed fire down my neck, sucking marks I'd hide tomorrow, each pull a brand of possession. "Love you," he groaned against my collarbone, voice breaking on the edge of plea. I arched into him, fingers threading his hair, pulling him closer as waves crested, sharp, electric, crashing over us in shared shudders and stifled moans that echoed only in our bones. We lay tangled, sweat-slick and spent, his head on my chest, listening to the thunder of my heart slow to match his. Rain tapped the window again, a gentle lullaby now, washing away the day's grit. "What are we gonna do, Beth? Vesoff?" Tracing the freckles across his shoulder, constellations I'd memorized. He lifted his head, eyes steady, a small smile curving his lips, the kind that lit him from inside. "We're gonna figure it out. Come out to them, maybe, or hell, run to Portland, start over. But no more hiding. Not from this." I nodded, throat tight with the weight of it, hope, fragile as new dawn light. In the quiet, with his body warm and solid against mine, the world outside faded. Stepbrothers or not, labels be damned. We'd climbed into each other's beds long ago, and tonight, we stayed. Close. Pull.